The battlefield was burning, smoke rising into the dark sky. The air smelled of metal, blood, and ash. A human soldier lay on the ground, his body torn, his breathing slow. His name was Captain Daniel, a man once strong and proud, now broken and fading. He had fought bravely, but the enemy had been too many. The sky was filled with the sound of distant weapons, each echoing like thunder. His vision blurred, and he thought this was the end. Daniel pressed his hand to his chest, feeling warm blood slipping between his fingers. He knew the wound was fatal. There would be no medic in time, no rescue team. He thought of his family far away, faces he might never see again. His heart sank, knowing that his story would end here, on an alien world far from Earth. He whispered to himself, "This is where I die." The stars above seemed cold and uncaring. Then, a faint light appeared in the smoke. It was not fire, nor was it the burning ruins. It was soft, glowing, and alive. Daniel blinked, thinking it was a dream. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. It was a girl, not human. Her skin pale with a silver hue. Her eyes shone like twin moons, filled with sorrow and mystery. And behind her moved a long glowing tail, shimmering with strange light. Daniel's heart froze. He had heard stories of these beings, the Lyrans, a race both feared and admired. Their tails were said to hold great power, able to heal, but at a cost. Some soldiers whispered that accepting their touch meant losing your soul. Daniel wanted to look away, but his body was too weak. The girl kneeled beside him, her expression calm, almost kind. "You are dying," she said softly, her voice like a melody inside his mind. "I can save you, but you will never be the same." Daniel coughed, trying to speak. His voice was broken, but his mind screamed with questions. "Why? Why would you help me?" he asked. The alien girl tilted her head, her glowing tail moving slowly in the air. "Because your fate is tied to mine," she whispered. "You are important, though you do not yet know why." Her words made no sense, yet they carried weight. Daniel felt fear, but also hope. The pain in his chest grew stronger, his body shaking. He knew he had only moments left. The girl's glowing tail moved closer, its light bathing his broken body. Daniel wanted to resist, but his arms were too weak. "Wait," he gasped. "What will happen to me?" Her eyes met his, and for a moment, he saw both kindness and sadness. "You will live, but your humanity will not remain whole," she said. "You must choose, soldier. Life with a price or death with honor." Time slowed around him. The battlefield noise faded into silence. In that instant, Daniel thought of his family, the promise he made to protect them. He thought of Earth, of the countless people who still needed soldiers like him. His honor told him to die as a man, but his heart begged him to survive. His lips trembled as he whispered, "Do it." The alien girl nodded, as if she already knew his choice. Her glowing tail wrapped gently around his neck. The light spread through him like fire and ice together. His body shook, his vision filled with blinding white. Every nerve screamed as something entered his blood. Daniel felt as if his soul itself was being rewritten. He tried to scream, but no sound came. His heart raced, then slowed, then raced again. And finally, a deep calm washed over him. The pain was gone, replaced by strange energy flowing in his veins. When the light faded, Daniel lay still. His wounds were gone, his body whole once more. But he felt different, stronger, yet less himself. His hands glowed faintly. His reflection in a shard of glass showed strange marks on his skin. The alien girl stood above him, her glowing tail slowly dimming. "It is done," she said, her voice almost sad. "You will live, but you are no longer only human." Her words echoed in his mind like a curse. Daniel tried to stand, his legs steady though they should not be. His chest no longer bled, but inside he felt hollow. The girl stepped back, fading into the smoke like a ghost. Her final words lingered as the battlefield returned to noise and fire. "You belong to us now," she whispered. Daniel's heart pounded as the truth sank in. Her glowing tail had saved his life. But something deep inside him was stolen forever. Daniel opened his eyes to silence. The battlefield was gone, the smoke and fire replaced by the dim light of a medical bay. He lay on a narrow bed, white sheets beneath him, machines humming softly around him. For a moment he thought he had dreamed it all, the alien girl, the glowing tail, the choice he had made, but then he felt it. A strange warmth flowing through his veins like liquid fire. His chest no longer hurt, his wounds were gone. But something inside him was different. He sat up slowly, his body moving with too much ease. Muscles that should have been torn apart now felt stronger than ever. His vision sharpened, every detail of the room clearer than he had ever known. Even the faint heartbeat of a medic walking outside the door reached his ears. He froze, realizing these senses were not human. His hands trembled as he stared at them. On his skin, faint glowing lines shimmered, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. A fellow soldier entered the room, his eyes widening when he saw Daniel awake. How are you alive?" The man whispered. "They said you were gone. There was no chance." Daniel tried to answer, but his voice carried a strange echo, not loud, but enough to make the other man step back in unease. "I don't know," Daniel said, though deep inside he knew the truth. The alien girl's words came back to him. "You will live, but you are no longer only human." The soldier backed away, muttering something under his breath. Daniel caught the word monster. The door closed quickly, leaving him alone once more. His chest grew heavy, not from pain but from fear. If even his own people looked at him with suspicion, what would the others say? Would Earth ever accept what he had become? Or had he already lost his place among them the moment her glowing tail touched him? That night, when the medical bay lights dimmed, he tried to sleep, but the moment his eyes closed, he heard her voice, soft, melodic, echoing inside his mind as if she stood beside him. "Do not be afraid, Daniel," she whispered. "You carry my essence now. It flows in your blood. It binds us." Daniel sat up, heart racing. His lips moved, though he was alone. "Why are you in my head?" Her voice grew softer, almost sad. "Because we are connected, soldier. Your life is tied to mine." He clenched his fists, the glowing lines on his arms pulsing brighter. "I never asked for this," he whispered angrily. "I wanted to live, but not like this." Silence followed. Then her voice again, calm but unyielding. "You chose life, and life comes with a price. Soon you will understand." The next day, he was released from the medical bay, but whispers followed him wherever he walked. Other soldiers stared at the faint glow beneath his skin. They did not call him captain anymore. They called him something else when they thought he could not hear. Spectre, half-blood, cursed, each word cut deeper than any blade, yet none of them knew the truth, that the alien girl still spoke to him in the silence. Guiding him, warning him, Daniel tried to train again, to prove he was still a soldier. But his body no longer moved like before. He was faster, stronger, and his reflexes were beyond human. In a combat drill, he moved before his opponent, even struck, disarming the man in a heartbeat. The others stared, fear in their eyes. One whispered, "He isn't one of us anymore." Daniel dropped the weapon, his chest tight, his heart heavy. That night, her voice returned once more. "You see it now, don't you?" She whispered, "You are not like them anymore, but you are not like me either. You are something in between." Daniel shook his head, pressing his palms to his ears as if he could block her out. But her words sank deep, unshakable. He wanted to scream that he was still human, that nothing had changed. But every time he looked at his glowing hands, he knew it was a lie. As the nights passed, the bond between them grew stronger. Sometimes he felt her presence in his heartbeat, sometimes in his dreams, and sometimes when the lights were low. He swore he saw her standing in the shadows, her glowing tail flickering softly like a flame. Each time she would whisper the same warning, "Soon you will see what you are becoming." Daniel knew then that his awakening was not an end. It was only the beginning of something darker, something stranger. And though his life had been saved, his humanity was already slipping away. The nights grew longer for Daniel. Even when he closed his eyes, peace never came. Every breath carried with it the faint hum of energy inside his blood. It was not just a memory of the battlefield. It was alive, pulsing, whispering, and in the silence, her voice always found him. At first, he thought it was a dream. He would wake in the middle of the night, heart pounding, certain she was standing by his bed. Her words were soft, wrapping around his mind like invisible threads. "You are not alone," she whispered. "You carry me within you." Daniel tried to ignore it. He trained harder, pushed his body to exhaustion, hoping silence would come with sleep. But the more he resisted, the stronger her presence became. Her voice followed him like a shadow, echoing when he walked, when he ate, even when he fought. It was not madness, it was real. One night, as he stared into the mirror, he saw the faint glow across his skin shimmer brighter. The glowing lines pulsed in time with her words, as though his body itself answered her. He gripped the sink, his knuckles white. "Why me?" he demanded into the empty room. "Why did you choose me?" The answer came, clear as if she stood behind him. "Because you were dying, and because I needed you." Her words unsettled him. "You needed me?" he repeated, his reflection trembling as though the glass itself questioned him. "Yes," she whispered. "My essence could not survive without a vessel. And you were strong enough to hold it." Daniel's stomach turned. He was not just saved. He was carrying her within him, not a gift, but a bond, one he had never asked for. Days blurred into nights, and the whispers grew heavier. Sometimes she spoke of things he could not understand, visions of stars collapsing, worlds burning, ancient wars that had ended long before his people had learned to walk upright. Other times she spoke of him, his heartbeat, his pain, his fear. "You are changing," she told him. "Every moment. The line between you and me grows thinner." Daniel tried to confide in his comrades, but each time he opened his mouth, the words froze. He could not explain to them that an alien lived inside his veins, that her glowing tail had not just healed him, it had marked him. When he looked into their eyes, all he saw was suspicion, and so he kept the whispers to himself, drowning in a secret too heavy to carry. One evening, during weapons testing, he felt it again. His aim was too precise, his reflexes too sharp, his senses stretched beyond human limits. Every shot hit its mark before his mind even processed the movement. The officers praised him, but the soldiers whispered behind his back. "Not human," one said. "A ghost," another muttered. Daniel clenched his fists, wishing the whispers in his head would vanish. But they only grew louder. That night, her voice returned clearer than ever. "You are afraid of them," she said softly, "but they should be afraid of you." Daniel shook his head, gripping the edge of his bed. "I am not your weapon," he hissed. "I am not one of you." Her voice carried sadness this time, almost like a song fading into the distance. "You cannot run from what you are becoming." Daniel pressed his hands against his glowing skin. The warmth beneath felt alive like another heartbeat. He knew now that he was not simply bonded to her, he was becoming her, piece by piece. His humanity slipping like sand through fingers he could no longer control, and yet, part of him wondered if he even wanted to resist anymore. Her whispers came one final time before dawn. This time they were not soft, they were certain, commanding. "Soon you will see what you truly are," she said. "And when that time comes, you will have to choose between the world that fears you and the one that made you." Daniel lay awake until morning, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, he realized that survival had not saved him, it had trapped him. And the whispers of the alien were no longer just a voice in his head. They were a part of him, forever. Asterisk the first time it happened. Daniel thought it was an accident. He was in training, surrounded by soldiers who already doubted him. They watched his every move, waiting for proof that he was not one of them. The drill began, a simple sparring exercise, yet the moment his opponent struck, Daniel's body moved on its own, faster than thought, faster than instinct. His hand shot forward and caught the blade mid-swing. The steel bent beneath his grip as if it were nothing but clay. Gasps filled the room, eyes wide, fear rising in the air. Daniel let go instantly, his chest tight. He stared at his own hands, glowing faintly, veins pulsing with silver light. The soldier before him stumbled back, whispering, "Monster." The words struck deeper than the blade ever could. Daniel left the hall, his footsteps heavy, every gaze burning into his back. He wanted to believe it was chance, but inside he knew the transformation had begun. That night the whispers returned stronger. Her voice, calm and haunting, filled his mind. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Your strength, your speed, your senses, they are gifts. But each gift takes something in return." Daniel clenched his jaw, whispering into the darkness, "What is it taking from me?" Her silence was louder than any answer. Days turned into weeks, and the changes grew harder to hide. He could see farther than human eyes should. Hear whispers across crowded halls. Once, when a soldier raised his weapon in anger, Daniel reacted. Before the trigger could pull, he crossed the room in a blink, disarming the man with force that shattered the gun like glass. Everyone froze, fear spreading like fire. Daniel dropped the pieces, heart pounding, knowing the truth. The more he used this power, the more human he lost. At night his reflection mocked him. The glowing lines across his skin grew brighter, webbing like roots across his arms and chest. His pupils no longer looked fully human, a silver hue bleeding into the blue. He splashed water on his face, desperate to wash it away, but nothing could hide what was happening. He was becoming something else, neither man nor alien, and the world around him could already see it. His commanders summoned him, their voices heavy with suspicion. They questioned his loyalty, his control, his very identity. Daniel answered with silence, for what could he say? That an alien girl lived in his blood, whispering secrets, twisting his humanity, that every breath felt less like his own. He left the room with their stares cutting into him. He was a soldier once. Now he was a threat during a battle drill. In the wastelands, the truth could no longer be hidden. Ambush fire struck their unit, explosions tearing the ground apart. Daniel's comrades fell back, but he surged forward, his body moving with unnatural grace. Bullets grazed him, yet wounds sealed before blood could fall. His fists struck metal armor and tore it apart like paper. The enemy fell before him, not by training, but by something far greater, far darker. And when it was over, silence fell. His own men looked at him not with gratitude, but with fear. One whispered, "He's not human." Another muttered, "He's one of them." Daniel's chest tightened, the words cutting deeper than the wounds that no longer scarred. He wanted to scream that. He was still the man they knew, still Daniel, still human, but his glowing skin betrayed him. His silver eyes betrayed him, and inside, her voice whispered gently, "You are becoming what you were meant to be." That night he sat alone under the stars. The campfires flickered in the distance, yet no one came near him. He pressed his hands to the ground, feeling vibrations deep beneath the soil, as if the world itself spoke to him now. The stars above seemed brighter, clearer, their patterns whispering secrets only he could understand. Daniel shivered, pulling away from the earth. "This isn't me," he whispered. "I never asked for this." But the warmth inside his veins pulsed in reply, not asking, not apologizing, only claiming. The transformation was no longer something he could deny. It was inside him, shaping him, erasing him. Each power he used, each battle he fought, tore another piece of his humanity away. He feared that one day, when he looked in the mirror, he would see nothing of Daniel left, only the reflection of the alien girl who had saved him. Her glowing tale had given him life, but it was stealing his soul with every breath. The night was silent, the kind of silence that made the heart uneasy. Daniel sat alone at the edge of the camp, his eyes fixed on the stars. He no longer felt at home among his fellow soldiers, their whispers and stares reminding him that he was different. The glow in his veins refused to fade. no matter how tightly he wrapped his arms. Each day his humanity slipped further away, leaving him trapped between two worlds. And then she returned. The air shifted first. A faint shimmer rippled across the darkness, like moonlight bending in water. Daniel's breath caught in his throat as the familiar glow appeared. She stepped out of the shadows, her figure graceful, her silver skin shining softly beneath the night sky. Her long glowing tail swayed behind her, brighter than he remembered. Her eyes locked onto his, filled with something he could not name. Sorrow and certainty woven together. "You," Daniel whispered, his fists tightening. "You did this too." "Me." Her gaze did not waver. "I saved you," she replied, her voice calm yet sharp, echoing in his mind as much as in his ears. "You would be dust on the battlefield without me." Daniel rose to his feet, anger burning in his chest. "You didn't save me. You cursed me. Look at me. I'm not human anymore." The glow in his veins pulsed as if answering his rage. The alien girl stepped closer, her tail brushing against the ground like flowing light. "You are more than human now," she said softly. "You are the bridge between us and them." Daniel frowned, his heart heavy. "Bridge? I never asked to be a bridge. I wanted to live as myself, not as your creation." Her eyes glistened with something almost like pain. "I know," she whispered, "but the war is bigger than your wishes, bigger than mine." Daniel's mind spun. "What war?" he demanded, though part of him already knew. "The enemy that hunts us will not stop," she explained, her voice heavy with ancient weight. "They will destroy humans. They will destroy Lyrans. They will burn every world to ash unless we fight together." She lifted her glowing tail, light shimmering around them. "You are the key, Daniel. You carry both worlds within you. Without you, both will fall." Daniel's hands shook as he stepped back. Her words cut through him like blades. A soldier all his life, he had fought for his people, bled for them, nearly died for them, and yet now those same people looked at him as a stranger, a threat. Would they ever accept him as the thing he was becoming? Or would they turn against him the moment they learned the truth? "You expect me to fight for you," he said bitterly. "You expect me to stand between my people and yours. But they don't trust me. They don't even want me." Her voice lowered, filled with quiet strength. "Then fight not for them, not for me. Fight because you are the only one who can." Her glowing tail brushed lightly against his arm. He flinched, but the warmth that spread through him was undeniable. A strange comfort, as if the energy itself longed for him to accept it. Daniel turned away, his chest tight. "Every time I use this power, I lose myself," he whispered. "I can feel it, piece by piece. My humanity slipping away. What will be left of me when this war ends?" The alien girl's voice softened, almost like a lullaby. "You will be what you were meant to be," she said. "Not human, not Lyran, but something beyond both. Something greater." The campfire crackled in the distance, shadows flickering. Across her silver face, Daniel met her gaze, and for the first time, he saw the weight she carried. This bond was not only his burden, it was hers as well. She had tied their fates together, and now neither of them could turn back. Her final words that night carved into him like stone. "Choose, Daniel," she whispered, her glowing tail curling gently in the dark. "Fight as what you have become, or die as what you once were." The stars above seemed colder, the world around him heavier. Daniel closed his eyes, the truth sinking deep into his soul. There was no escape, no return. Her glowing tail had not only saved his life, it had chained him to a destiny he could no longer refuse. The battles grew darker with each passing day. The enemy pressed harder, their machines and weapons more ruthless than before. Human soldiers struggled to hold the lines, their strength breaking under endless fire. And every time, it was Daniel who stepped forward. His body moved faster than bullets. His hands tore through armor like it was paper. He was the shield, the sword, the unstoppable force they depended on. But with every victory came a price. Daniel could feel it inside him, the warmth of her essence burning hotter each time he fought. Every strike pulled him further from the man he once was. His eyes glowed brighter in the dark. His voice carried an echo that frightened even the bravest. Men, when he walked through the camp, silence followed. They respected his power. But they feared it more, and in the quiet of the night, their whispers reached him. "Monster," they said. "Half-blood. Not one of us." He tried to ignore them. But the truth was already in his reflection. The glowing lines had spread across his chest and down his arms like rivers of light. His skin no longer healed like human flesh, it sealed instantly. Smooth, flawless, alien. His senses stretched beyond human measure. He could hear the heartbeat of every man in the camp. He could smell the blood of the wounded before the medics arrived. He could even feel the vibrations of the earth when the enemy moved underground. One night he sat alone, his hands trembling. Against the soil, he whispered into the silence, "What am I becoming?" Her voice answered immediately, soft yet unyielding. "You are becoming necessary," she said. "The war demands sacrifice, and yours is your humanity." Daniel shook his head, rage and grief boiling inside him. "I never agreed to this. I never agreed to lose myself." Her voice grew heavier. "You chose to live, Daniel, and life is never free." The next battle proved her words true. The enemy unleashed weapons of fire and storm, tearing through human ranks like blades of lightning. Daniel felt the fear of his comrades, the hopelessness in their cries, and something inside him broke. He released his power without holding back. The glow consumed him, his body moving faster than sight. His scream shook the battlefield as enemies fell before him in waves. He became destruction, unstoppable, inhuman. When the dust cleared, silence filled the air. Dozens of enemies lay broken. The battlefield burned with his fury. His comrades stared at him with wide eyes. Their weapons lowered not at the enemy, but at him. They had seen what he truly was. Not a soldier, not a man, but something beyond both. A weapon too dangerous to stand beside. Daniel dropped to his knees, his glowing veins pulsing like fire. For the first time, he feared himself more than the enemy. That night he could not sleep. The whispers came again, but softer now, almost gentle. "You saved them," she said. "They live because of you. Do not regret what you are." Daniel clenched his fists, glowing light bleeding through his fingers. "I saved them, yes, but I lost more of myself," he whispered. "How much of me is even left?" The silence that followed was unbearable, as if even she could not answer. The next morning, the commanders did not praise him. They did not thank him. They looked at him with the same eyes they used on dangerous weapons. They ordered him to fight. Again, not as a man, but as a tool. Daniel realized then that to them he was no longer a comrade. He was a weapon to be used, a beast to be aimed at the enemy. And deep inside, a voice whispered darker than her own. Maybe they were right. The cost of power was no longer hidden. Every battle won meant another piece of him gone. Every life saved meant another step away from being Daniel. He had traded his humanity for survival, for strength, for war. And though the world needed him, he wondered if, when the war ended, there would be anything left of him at all. The final battle came with no warning. The sky itself seemed to burn, torn apart by fire and steel. The enemy descended with fury, their machines blotting out the stars, their weapons tearing cities into dust. Human armies faltered, their defenses crumbling like sand before the tide. And at the center of it all stood Daniel, glowing brighter than ever. He felt the energy surging inside him. It no longer whispered, it roared, alive and unstoppable. His veins pulsed with silver fire. His skin shimmered with alien light. The soldiers around him looked not to their commanders, but to him. They no longer saw a man. They saw a weapon, a savior, a monster. And he knew, in that moment, that the last shred of choice had been taken from him. The alien girl appeared once more. Her glowing tail brighter than the battlefield flames, she stood beside him, her voice clear against the chaos. "This is the moment, Daniel," she whispered. "You were born for this. We were bound for this. Daniel clenched his fists, staring at the destruction around him. I was not born for this, he growled. I was made into this. Her eyes softened, yet her words carried no regret. And still, only you can end this. The enemy stormed forward, their machines, like beasts of war, their soldiers endless. Daniel closed his eyes, letting the energy consume him. His scream shook the air as light exploded from his body. The battlefield froze as he moved like a storm, faster than sight, stronger than steel. Every strike shattered enemy lines, every roar ripped through machines. The ground cracked beneath his power, the sky lit with his fury. For hours he was unstoppable. Not a soldier, not a man, but destruction itself. When silence finally returned, the battlefield lay in ruins. The enemy was broken, scattered, defeated. But so too was Daniel. He stood at the center of the devastation, his body glowing like a dying star. The soldiers behind him did not cheer. They stared in silence, their fear louder than victory. They saw not their captain, not their brother in arms, but something alien, something that no longer belonged to them. Daniel fell to his knees, the glow within him blazing stronger. He looked at his hands, no longer human hands, but vessels of light, pulsing with alien fire. His chest heaved as he realized the truth. The man he once was gone. Only this being remained, neither human nor Lyran, but something in between, and there was no turning back. The alien girl approached slowly, her glowing tail swaying like a living flame. She knelt before him, her voice soft, almost kind. "You have saved them all," she said. "You have done what no human ever could." Daniel lifted his eyes to hers, sorrow burning in his chest. "I saved them, yes," he whispered, "but I lost myself." Her glowing hand touched his cheek, her tail curling gently around his shoulder. "No," she said, "you became what you were meant to be." The soldiers behind them whispered in fear, some raised their weapons, uncertain whether he was ally or enemy. But Daniel no longer cared. He could feel the last threads of his humanity slipping away. His reflection in the shattered glass of a broken visor showed not Daniel the man, but Daniel the other, eyes glowing silver, skin alive with light. A creature no longer bound by human limits. He had crossed the line forever. As dawn broke, the alien girl whispered her final words. "You are ours now," she said, her voice like a promise and a curse. "You are no longer theirs, and never again will you be only human." Daniel closed his eyes, letting the truth settle in his soul. Her glowing tail had saved his life, yes, but in its light, it had stolen everything that made him who he was. The world cheered its victory that day, but Daniel did not, for humanity had won the war, and Daniel had lost his forever.